Hello and welcome to another episode of In Conversation With by Kangaroo Minds. And I'm Vedika, and today we have with us Belinda Baines. Belinda is the Student Health and Wellness Coordinator at Richmond University, London. She has had a wide range of experiences working in this field over the years, and she has dealt with supporting students in various mental health conditions, learning difficulties, helping them transition into university life, and supporting them through their time at university. She strives to destigmatize mental health and help students progress and succeed. Our conversation today centers around student mental health and well-being while at university. And this is a topic which has gained even more interest in recent times, given that students are now studying remote or gearing to come back to campus in the midst of a pandemic. Without taking up much time, let's now dive in to hear from Belinda. Belinda, given your role at Richmond and the roles that you've taken on previously as well as a student wellness coordinator, can you tell us a little bit more about what a typical day looks like for you?
Yeah, I mean, from working in student mental health and being the student wellbeing coordinator, every day is completely different for me whilst I'm on campus. But I do like to plan out my days just so I have some sort of structure. But I also know that I can be dealing with immediate situations on campus that would need my immediate attention. So I like to start the morning off just, getting a coffee, having a conversation with the staff at Starbucks, because Richmond is that sort of community. It's got such a great kind of community spirit to it. And then I like to just go through my emails, get anything that needs sorting sorted out. Usually after that, I have in some book student meetings, but I also hold office drop-ins for students to come in, as it's a nice confidential space for them to bring up any issues they'd like to talk about to me. So when I'm, sort of dealing with these student issues, it requires liaising with different staff across the university, for example, like residence life staff or the peer mentors, or if I need to flag up anything to Alison or refer to finance or counselling. So again, it's just kind of going through all these kind of areas at the university. But obviously with COVID, things have become a lot more virtual. So within my role, I still like to keep the same process, but just virtualizing things and having meetings on Zoom or Teams. Again, another part of my role is I like to block off some time to spend with our student leaders, such as our residence life staff and our peer mentors. I think it's great when they'll come and meet with me and they'll flag up any students for concern. And also I kind of focus on supporting their mental health too. So yeah, like I said, every day is so different with my job, but I helped organise and set up mental health events. I attend wellbeing webinars and conferences, and I like to implement new wellbeing ideas. And also I hold meetings with our counselling staff. I like to support them, or if they've got anything they need to raise for concern. So yeah, that's kind of like a brief overview of what I do, but I think it's a really important area to work in. It's something I'm really, really passionate about.
Because you've been in the student mental health space for such a long time, what are some issues which you typically see students facing, at university?
Such a variety of issues. From the main things I see are anxiety and depression. So I see them on different levels. In the past few years, there are increasing numbers of students with personality disorders, those who are on the severe kind of anxiety type, because of with panic attacks or self-harm. So these are kind of the main ones that I see in higher education. And I think obviously now with COVID, these issues have, really, really increased, especially for some students who have never even experienced anxiety before.
Right.
So these are things I've worked with and I've noticed, yeah.
So I think that's interesting, because I think you brought up the whole point of COVID, and how has COVID sort of changed the way universities look at student mental health and well-being?
I think, it's adding a different dimension to, what you're working with. I suppose the whole COVID situation has kind of taught us to maybe implement some virtual resources for students, and that, you can't always solve everything on campus, and you can also be a support to them virtually. So for example, that you can still provide effective mental health support for students even though you're not physically seeing them, you know, such as kind of offering virtual counselling, and also like positive wellbeing things that I usually do on campus. You know, you can kind of virtualize and do all these virtual events such as yoga and meditation. So it's kind of just, I suppose, adding a different dimension to student support at university as a whole.
Right. So, I mean, COVID apart, how important do you feel it is that, you know, universities make that investment and they pay attention to student mental health and well-being?
Yeah, it's so important. Like I say, the last few years, I think I would describe mental health in education, especially higher education, as being sort of a crisis right now, because, you know, student levels of anxiety, depression, students leaving university due to mental health, suicide rates, you know, they're at an all-time high, and I suppose it leads people to question why student mental health, and actually mental health in young people generally is quite high, and, you know, it has been increasingly rapidly, I mean, like, you know, increasing in the last few years, meaning that universities need to invest in this extra support and invest in these extra initiatives to promote a positive well-being and a, you know, a positive source on campus, really, and, you know, to provide that support for students who are going through a variety of issues. So yeah, from my own experience of working in further education and in higher education too, you know, I've seen firsthand students who are dealing with severe anxiety, panic attacks to the point where they can't attend lectures, they can't attend exams. Self-harm is one that's come up a lot. Suicidal thoughts, depression, it's a whole spectrum of things. And I think it's really, really important for universities to invest the time and resource into student mental health.
So I think you brought up a lot of valid points that, you know, especially with the way things are changing and, you know, just for faculty to be aware, for universities to be aware about what's going on. And sometimes I think students themselves are not able to really label what they're going through. They may not even understand it, possibly because they've come from, maybe in their home country, it's not something that's so widely spoken about. They may lack the awareness. So I think you're right. And given the fact that, you know, university is a home away from home for a lot of students, just giving them that extra support. And now coming to, you know, the way the COVID has sort of completely changed the way we learn, the way we're experiencing university life for students around the world. So what are some of the challenges that you've seen that students are facing with online learning at the moment?
I think, I mean, it's been quite a lot, I suppose, with the COVID situation, lockdowns, and things going into remote learning has brought on various challenges for students. So I think I've touched upon it before, but anxiety has really, really increased for students. Even those who had never suffered from anxiety previously, you know, with having this new and quite frightening situation, it has made students more anxious because there has been a lot of change. And especially, like I said before, at Richmond, you have international students, so that becomes a home away from home. And then everything going remote has led students to feel that they're maybe not getting the proper student experience, and the fees are quite high. So this might, you know, initiate feelings of depression, but also with the national lockdown as well, and some students having to remain in London and not go back to their home countries, you know, prolonged isolation can lead to feeling very low, very down, the lack of social interaction. And living in this new virtual world is, you know, I've seen students who are really, really upset. It's led to feelings of depression, and especially going through these lockdowns on your own. That's been some of the challenges that I've seen students facing with, you know, the online learning and the COVID situation.
I think another thing which, you know, which a lot of students have been mentioning about online learning has been that they're not, if they're at home, if they're remotely studying online, you're not purely a student anymore. They have so much going around them, you know, whether it's the city they're in being in lockdown or just the isolation, other responsibilities. So I think it's about students sort of finding that balance and working out the demands of their studies. So kind of connecting to that, what would you say that, you know, how could students better look after their mental health and well-being, you know, in this time?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think with being in this global pandemic, I think it's led to not even students, but a lot of people thinking more about their mental health and about their well-being. It's been a lot of time for introspection and, you know, reflecting during this pandemic. So I think it's really, really important for students to take the time out to look after their own mental health. by engaging in positive activities like, going for a walk in the park, doing a workout, speaking to friends and family virtually, maybe organizing like games or, a quiz, doing creative activities such as coloring, just any sort of positive activity where you're taking time out for you and it kind of aids your positive well-being. So I think it's really important for students to kind of balance that with their work as well, that it is important to take breaks, it is important to look after yourself during this time. And I think it's also kind of links into the 5 ways to well-being model of, connecting to people or giving back to the community, just engaging in really positive, healthy behaviors. And again, things like time management. So usually like pre-COVID, in our student training week, I train them about time management. So I think it's a really kind of key thing that students should, think about when balancing, how they're feeling in a pandemic and the demands of studying. So to combat these feelings of anxiety and isolation. So yeah.
So also like stemming from this, like how do you think, taking the lessons that we've learned from the COVID times and sort of working remote, how can universities particularly promote student mental health in a post-COVID era?
So hopefully we reach like, a post-COVID era. I think it's just kind of important for universities to promote mental health through campaigns and awareness and holding events. So for example, I've been part of before, being part of the Student Minds campaign or getting students involved with these kind of initiatives to destigmatize mental health. I think it's also important to have awareness days. So things such as like Suicide Awareness Day, Mental Health Awareness Day, where universities can put on events those days and just kind of promote mental health by getting people to talk about it, and kind of not having that stigma on it really as well. And I think it's kind of important for universities to highlight the 2 aspects of mental health, which is raising awareness, but also getting students to engage in healthy behaviours. So we know that when students are feeling quite low, quite down, they're more likely to engage in negative behaviour like in alcohol or maybe engaging in drug behaviour, which, is not beneficial. So I think it's also important for universities to show they have initiatives to raise well-being, such as, organising lunchtime walks, making students be part of clubs and societies, sports teams, having, fairy puppy events, therapeutic colourings. There's so many amazing initiatives that we have these days to really promote a positive well-being for students.
Right, and I think another thing which, I've just add to, like, I know you've given a very extensive list, is also the way some universities signpost students to resources, like just sharing with them, like helpline numbers or, websites or counseling services which are available. I think that way, like students know that they would be supported. And again, having, like someone like you and having a dedicated person for the cause of mental health also kind of shows students that, yes, the university is committed towards our mental health and well-being.
Yeah, completely agree.
So also now we're in a new year, it's a new semester, and in a lot of countries, students are, coming back to campuses, things are opening up, but it's been quite a turbulent time after which, they're making this transition. So in view of that, how do you think students can better prepare themselves for that transition from like, online learning to coming back to campus?
Yeah, like you said before, being in a new year, a new semester. So I think we're all kind of hoping that this year brings some sort of positivity and hope with a vaccine being rolled out, and fingers crossed, maybe sometime this year we can see some sort of normality back, and with one of those aspects with students coming back onto campus and attending the lectures in person. I think students can better prepare themselves by liaising with the university before they're due to come back, or the student affairs department or other students, to just kind of get themselves familiarised with what on-campus support there will be when they come back onto campus. Again, social media is a really great way for this, for them to kind of, engage with people at university or people on their course, really. So I think it's just kind of preparing themselves that, they are going to come back to university, and to kind of like just keep familiarising themselves with everything that will be going on campus.
Right. So what would you say that, what do you think students can expect when they come back? Because let's be honest, it's going to be part of this whole new normal discussion. So there will be, like, unfortunately, a time where things will look very different from what they did, pre-March of 2020. So what do you think they could sort of expect during this time?
I suppose maybe, well, we don't know what's going to happen when students come back onto campus. Will there still be, strict rules placed, when campus was open in November? So we were allowing students on campus, but obviously with social distancing in place, one-way systems in place, mask, hand gel, very kind of stringent rules for them. And I think the most important thing when coming back is just kind of adapting to that, really, that, sometimes things might not be, the same as they were before.
Right.
Kind of listening to people on campus, we have the basketball court on campus, we have, like, the lawn area where students can go play sports. But I think, we're looking into having kind of like, well, not a stricter, but, just kind of booking out the basketball court, or, if they want to take out some equipment. So I suppose just being quite adaptable to the things on campus. Obviously we're still going to have similar sorts of things, like, for raising awareness and promoting good well-being through sports and exercise. But I think it's just kind of, learning to adapt with the new rules and whatever guidance we're getting, really.
Right. So I think, that's been quite an interesting thing, because I think nobody knows what to expect. But I think for students to familiarize themselves with the rules, to keep, in touch with student affairs, and for the universities to just keep continuing the conversations around mental health. I'm sure, like, universities will have to be more flexible with students, which they have been. I mean, over the past, 8-10 months, a lot of universities have given students those options when it's come to, like, deferring assignments or like extra time. I think that feeling has gradually come in, but just to kind of adapt to that is something which I think everyone is just learning at this point. Yeah. It's not something anyone is used to. Nobody, everyone's just figuring it out. So I think signing off, I have one question for you, is that if you had one piece of advice for students watching this, what would it be, around how to take care of their mental health through this time, and whether they're taking classes online, offline, what do you think they could do?
I think it's important to remind students that it's okay not to feel okay sometimes, that it's okay not to feel yourself. And it's just all about it's being kind to yourself, that, everyone is bound to feel different emotions and feelings, going through a global pandemic, going through a lot of change, being away from a home environment, and that, it's okay to go through these things, and it's okay to get that support, and just kind of start engaging in healthy behaviors, like, going for a walk or listening to music. And, like, it's important to keep taking breaks from, your work or your studying, and that is, it's okay to seek support as well. It's okay to, go to counselling. It's okay to talk to people, and just kind of remind the students that there are people out there who will listen to you and help you, both on and off campus, and that, you're not going through this on your own. That's one piece of advice I'd give to students.
Okay, that's been really helpful and really insightful. So, thank you so much, Belinda, for joining us today and for all your time. And, just sharing your experiences and your learning with, our viewers from around the world. And for everyone who's tuned in today, so please, like, share, subscribe if you find our content interesting. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. And, one key takeaway, I think, from all our conversations is, and I think even Belinda highlighted on it, is that it's okay to not be okay. And let's normalize that discussion. So please know that, if you're not feeling okay, you don't feel 100%, there is help available out there and things can get better. So there's nothing wrong in seeking that help. Have a conversation, reach out to someone, and, things will get better eventually. So till next time, stay well, stay healthy, and thank you for joining us again.